Hi everyone, I'm Nettie Kaye. Welcome back to my studio. Today we're going to do one of my very favorite things in all the world, Curly Joe's speed bump, my cat, or Joey for short. He's a long-haired tabby in an orange color, about the color of my hair. My husband's always complaining that every pet we ever get is always the same color as his wife's hair. He doesn't get a choice. He's got dark hair. Oh well, all right. So I've got a 16 by 20 canvas and we'll run some colors across the screen as we go. I'll try to call them out as I'm working on them. And also one of the more important things that I talk about in each one of my videos, some kind of medium. Now you can use liquid, you can use all kinds of mediums, whatever you like. My favorite is a Neo Magelp by Gamblin right now. And sometimes it changes, but I've been using this one for several years and I really like it. It's kind of a gel consistency and it just makes your paint move a little bit farther each time you put on a stroke. I do want to talk about when you're painting a pet or anything with this color. In fact, in people portraits with redheads, transparent orange, and it's only made by the Gamblin company, and they don't pay me for that yet. And we're going to have just some variety of brushes. I don't want to make this too fussy or too detailed where we're painting every tiny little hair. Let's just get to it. All right. Today we're going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to zoom in on the painting because sometimes we get things a little bit out of focus when we're zooming in. And it's really all about the painting. It's not all about me. So I'm going to be using something, let's see, we call this one a transparent oxide red, and it can you can use burnt sienna, some kind of a brownish color to begin with. And I'm going to begin with the nose area, just to get a little bit of an idea of where it is. Now on a cat's nose, the nose is separated top to bottom. It's just split right down the middle. Not so for the dog. A dog will stop somewhere before the top of the nose. And then I'm going to make, basically if I'm teaching this to children, it's the letter T, okay? Easy, easy peasy. And then I will put in a little tiny kind of inward slant right there, and I'll put the nostrils in, same color. This is just my drawing color right now. And then I'll put the little V at the bottom. So it's a T at the top, a V at the bottom, and the little nostril in the middle. T, V, and the nostrils in the middle. Boop, 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 boop. There you go. Now the bottom, I'm going to wipe my brush off. I'm going to grab a little bit of Cadmium Red Light, and we'll put just a very short line from the bottom of the nose down, because there's not a lot of space. Don't go too far, your cat will look like something else. So then we're going to drop that down and splay it out a little bit towards the cheek, or what we might call the muzzle. And I'll pick up, this time I'm going to pick up a little medium. I'm going to pull out a little bit of a light lavender color. Now this is ultramarine violet or ultramarine purple mixed with my little whatever color I have on my brush. And I will give you an indication of where that cheek goes, around like this, like that. And then this side's a little bit wider because his head is turned slightly. All right. And then I'll take a little more and kind of define where his tiny little chin. Again, same thing, don't make that chin too big. It's going to look like another animal. I don't know what. All right, up here, now I have my eye. And we'll start again with a burnt sienna, and I'm going to go kind of give you a little indication of where the eye is. We're going to outline it. Okay. It goes down a little here, and then it is around on the bottom. On this side, it goes towards, it has an angle at the top, down, and around up to the top. Always measure where this is in relationship to something else. So I might go like this and say, oh yeah, it lines up with the cheek. I check it on the photo and say, yep, that's where that lines up. Everything is in relation to something else. And then I will work my way up with understanding where the fur is a little bit and come up to the top. Now I kind of worked this out again last night. We always practice at least 2 times, if not 3, on each painting before filming, because it's a lot faster that way. The more you practice, the better you get at one thing. And we'll put the ear on here. Just a little indication of where everything is. Now, also on his fur out here, I'll look and I say, okay, it comes out like this, comes down and around like this, and then there's an area of light fur right there, and he's on this blanket, so we'll just give him a little bit of a blanket. That way we don't have to do all of his paws and all that kind of stuff and waste time. All right, now let's put in this is Cadmium Red Light with a little bit of white. Once we get a new camera, you'll be able to see all of this stuff, but right now, Cadmium Red Light, and emphasis on the word light because it's more orange, okay, than Cadmium Red Medium. And if you only have Cadmium Red Medium, add a little bit of orange to it, all right? So that's a perfect nose color for this cat. All right, so let's take a look. There's a little bit of a football shape. Actually, what shape is that? It's pointed on both ends. The pupils are not round, everyone. If you put round, If you put round pupils, that's really hard to say, it's not going to look like a cat. People will say, oh, there's something wrong with that cat. And that's really true. It's odd. So it's kind of like a seed or a watermelon seed with points on the end. And I'll wipe off my brush. Now I'm going to put in, this will be kind of fun, I'm going to grab some lemon yellow or really light yellow. This is seriously the lightest yellow you can get. I'm going to add some white to it even. And we're going to put that color over here and over here. And then I'm going to take some turquoise with that yellow. This is Pthalo Turquoise, just for fun. And I'm going to put it over on the other side. Pthalo Turquoise with the lemon yellow, so that we have 2 different colors on the eye. It's just really wild, 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 wild. And then we'll go in the middle. I'm going to even do something really weird. I'm going to take a little bit of cadmium orange, put that down here a little bit, and tie those together a little bit. It's going to be dark underneath the eyelid a little bit. That's the mystery of how to make eyes look real, is to make it dark under the eyelid, because the eyelid hangs over the eye. All right. I'm going to swing that dark color around the bottom now, so it looks like a round thing. Even though the eyelids are shaped slightly different, the eyeball is going to be a bit round. Now you're not going to see the whole thing in the middle of it. Grab some pure white, knowing that the light's coming from over here, pardon my arm, and I'm going to put a dot between the colored part, and I'm going to swing it over into the pupil. I don't like that pupil tool over here, but we'll fix it. Okay, now I'll also take another clean swipe of white and make a little backwards comma at the bottom, as though it's shining through and coming out here, right? We do the same thing with grapes and glass and all kinds of things. I'm going to take a big brush now. This brush is about 1 inch, and it's a worn out flat, so it works really good for cat fur. And I'm going to take a little bit of a violet color with a lot of white and a tiny bit of Viridian, all right? That's a weird color, but when you mix it with other colors, it makes a neat shadow color. I'm going to come in and put this Veridian and Violet into the shadow where I want the face to stick out a little bit. I'll put it in under here, under the chin, back over here, you can see how his little face hangs out a little bit. This is the white part of the cat. And I think while I've got this on, I'm going to put a little more Viridian in. Viridian is a blue-green. But for some reason, when you mix it with alizarin crimson, or you get violet for some reason. I don't know why. It's a mystery to me. And anywhere where I think I've got a bit of a shadow, I'm going to put that in. Put that in a little bit under his eye. And there's a bit of a shadow around his nose. We'll add more white to it as we go. There we go. There. A little bit on his bottom of his chin. He's got a little orange mark on his chin too. And then I will take some white with a little bit of tiny bit of the transparent orange. Now this is fun, and I will put that on the light part of the white fur. Not a lot of transparent orange, just a touch. It just warms it up so that you have a warm light for the white part against a cool color. It just makes it kind of zingy. And sometimes with the fur, I will start on the outside a little bit and work my way in towards the other part so that it ties together. Some more of that light. The big fat brush really helps. Some of the, I was watching Wyland on TV the other day, and he was trying to do a polar bear, really huge polar bear, really fast. I got kind of, it was a bit amusing. But he was using a great big fat painter's brush, you know, that you paint walls with. And it was just all mangled up and funny. And he was trying to make the fur with all this mangled brush. The more mangled it is, it seems to work really well. So no brush is ever really totally wrecked until you can stand it up in the corner by its bristles. Okay, here we go. Now, I'll make a couple of lines there because the whiskers come out. And we'll add a little more. All right. Okay, now, the top of his head has got some of those weird darker stuff, which I'm going to use the Burnt Sienna. This is the red. And I'm going to put the dark mark right here and a dark mark right here. And this is really pretty dark all the way across. So we'll just generalize and put that in. And here's the darker. Put a little purple in with that transparent oxide, and it makes it very dark. I rarely use black to darken anything. I use black for the pupils, and so you don't have to lay out a whole bunch just for those two little dots. And this part right here will just kind of help his cheek to stand out a little bit. He has this thing there's a little eye thing, and it's dark right there. And I'll flatten that brush out a little bit. And you can shape your brush with a, you know, like a paper towel, or squeeze it and get it to have a little better shape. And then that. Okay, I think that's good. Now the next thing I'm going to do is grab some of that transparent orange. I wipe my brush off. I'm not rinsing it off like Bob Ross. I'm just putting that transparent orange on, and then I'll add some white to it. All right, here's some white. We'll just grab some of our white, and you'll see it just turns it. It's an interesting color. Straight out of the tube, it's really orange, and when you add white, it turns into this lovely kind of a yellowish color. A light yellow orange. Perfect for what we need today. There. Goes really fast when you use a 1-inch brush. That's what you need. Got the top of his head already. And I'll take this and work it in to his little cheek. I see that I missed a little spot. He has a, I'll go back into our Burnt Sienna, and I'm going to put this little mark right here. Then you can get into all the details you want, but you got to start out like this. Well, you don't have to, but it's a good idea. where you start out really loose and then you can, you know, spend 2 or 3 days on here if you want. I did a, oh, what was it? A bobcat for somebody. That we have a local bobcat that lives in a house here and up in the mountains, and a little rescued thing. And it's huge, it's huge. And it took me a long time to work on it because of all the special little spots on it. A lot of spots. All right, now this is almost pure white with a little bit back to this kind of color, and I'm going to pretend that the light is shining off the back of the cat right there. Just let that fur fly. There. Back into the darker orange, and maybe I'll mix a little bit of the burnt sienna with that. There, and it darkens it up, and it makes this fur really kind of stand out and become a little more luminous. He's really white on the bottom, so now I'll shape that out with a few little strokes of this, that, and the other thing. And from here, now I'm going to put a little bit, remember our nose color, Cadmium Red Light with white. This might not be exactly the color of the inside of his ear, but boy, does it make it look like there's a lot of glowing things happening. And you need a color underneath before you put in all the little white hairs that happen. All right, I'm going to just fill this in with this same color over here, Cadmium Red Light with white. And then I'll go back in with some more of that transparent orange and raw sienna, and we'll just flick that up into the ear so we don't have any canvas showing through. There, he's coming together. And then I'm going to take that same color and just make sure we don't have any canvas around the eye. It's a little bit lighter around the eye, so I'm going to take a little bit of white into that. And we've got kind of the basis of the cat. I'm going to pull a little more hair out here. I think I made that ear just a little. Here's the fun part. I can take a little bit of a rag and go, okay, that looks like a batty bat ear, so I'm going to just trim that up with my rag. I can always correct with a rag. Rag's a really good thing to have. All right, next I'm going to get my small brush out again into the purple, and I'll make a few indications of the dots for where the whiskers are going to go. It looks a bit cartoony, but at this point that's the process. I don't want this line to be here either, so I'll scumble it from side to side and just make it a little bit dark there. And take some more of the purple because his bottom part of his face just kind of jumped over the top. Load your brush with a lot of paint as you get. The farther along on your painting, the thicker the paint should get. I should be able to later on, when it's dry, run my finger across it and know where that is with my eyes closed. That's my style. You might do something different. I will make a nice white ring under the eye here. This side has got a different eye color, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then we come back in with some straight white. Usually I will tint the white with something. All right, I don't usually just, you know, put straight white on. And now I'll give this a little bit of a little softer edge to it so that it looks more furry rather than just like a couple of ping pong balls coming out of his face. Soften it up, and I'll put a little more. You see, as I go, I'm picking up a little bit more of the paint so it changes colors on the brush. I don't even have to dip my brush into anything. There. You don't want this eye, though, darker than this eye, and I think I just did that. So let's correct that with a little bit of Pthalo Turquoise. Darken it up around the edge. I'm going to darken it on this side. Hope you can see that. And then I'll go back in with my light lemon yellow on the side one more time. All right, that's good. Now we'll restate That just means when you've accidentally painted over it, you can put it back on. That's restating. And rolling the brush so that it's nice and sharp. And I'll begin to put in some of these little ear hairs by, oh, got to load it up a little more. And I want them to really move like this, from the base of the hair out. And then I just kind of fuzz it out. If you want to get really, really tight with it, okay, but I'm not too worried about it. On some of the hairs, when I'm doing some super high detailed ones, I will use a really, really sharp flat brush and just boom, 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 each tiny, tiny hair. But today we're not worried about that. And take that light now and go across up here above the eyebrow so that it looks a little bit brighter. And this really sticks out. So, all right. And we also need to think about the cat's whiskers as they come out of here. And with the purple that I have underneath, then the white hairs kind of stand out a little bit. Make sure, if you want to see some of my other, cat portraits and stuff that I've actually taken days on, you can go to my Etsy site at nettiekayestudio.etsy.com. And at this point, I want this cat to stand out. In oil painting, sometimes you paint the background at the same time as you paint the foreground, or you paint everything kind of simultaneously. You can, if you're doing a landscape, you paint what's behind first and then, but sometimes you don't have that option. So I want this part of the cat to stand out. So I'm using a dark purple on the areas that I want to stand out in the white. In fact, I like it all the way around. So let's use a lot of medium. This is our violet and then I'm going to add, a little bit of Viridian. This is fun. See that Viridian with the violet? Ooh, that looks good. I can throw a little bit of white in there so you can see what that is. You see? And I'll get this, and then I can go back in and kind of restate that little head. Now I should have probably, if I put this color all through the background before I put the cat on, and I don't know how big the cat's going to be, the problem is it's very hard to overcome darker paint. So say I painted the background dark and then I let it dry and then I paint the light color. The transparent colors will not register as bright if I have to overcome the dark paint underneath it. I hope you understand that a little bit. So that's why I don't paint the canvas dark. Because if I paint a transparent orange on top of something like that, you're not going to see it. It's going to be disappointing. So that's why I paint the cat before I paint the full background. I know it doesn't seem to make sense to do that, but you can see how that works. It's working really well. You don't have to get too detailed. It's just him sitting on something. Okay, the last little bit, I think, will be on, we'll take some of our transparent orange and just come back in. I want to get this ear shaped out. And I'll take some transparent orange and white because transparent orange will not register, or you won't be able to see it with that background, but I'm going to pull that back in, reshape the ear a little bit, and then I'll throw some more of those white hairs over the top like this. I just wanted to make sure you could tell where the ear was. There. Again, this is just a super fast one, everybody. You sacrifice so much as an artist by doing demonstrations because you know you can do better if you take your time. But you can't take time because people won't watch. And then this is kind of cute. All right, up here he's got some little fur that kind of comes off the top of his ear. Looks like this. And then we'll do the same thing over here, just kind of run it off a little bit. And then I'll take a couple more. I'm just dragging some of the paint that's already on there somewhat and bringing it outside of the cat. So I can kind of go back and forth with this and dragging some of the background into the cat, some of the cat into the background, and it begins to fluff up a little bit. And then this will come up over his little blanket. So this is where the small brush comes in and makes you feel as though there's just tons of detail. There. And then I'll put a few bits of the white hair kind of coming across here a little bit. A little more white. And a little bit of a ring around this eye. There. What else? Oh, some hairs going straight up here. I do a lot of pet portraits, especially around Christmas time. And I just really enjoy that. That's just part of my life. I've done probably 200 pet portraits over the last several years. I like putting the hairs to where they go out of the picture or out of the ear. Now, he also has this really, really big, long eyebrow hair. So I'll put it like this. Ooh, ooh. There we go. Gotta make the sound. And probably one over here too. So it's usually just a little V indication. And you don't want it to be too fat because it's a hair. So sometimes I'll come in and just kind of make it a little bit skinnier by taking the background color and just make it skinnier. All right, we're going to wind it up today. That's about all the time I'm going to take on this super fast painting of Curly Joe Speed Bump. I hope you enjoyed what you learned today, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.